Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Taylors of Tech live on Twitch. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed today's videos. Tech and EV have already been published, but we hadn't done a Twitch stream since last week. My weekends are currently Fridays through Saturdays, so I'm back to full days on Sundays all the way up till Thursday. Just because I try to synchronize my schedule best with my wife's. So for those who were curious, but that means that tomorrow, not for sure happening, but tomorrow is a potential website refresh day for Apple. There's no leaks, there's no tweets or anything confirming that. I'm just saying, in the past, Apple has done site refreshes for the most part on Mondays and Wednesdays. That seems to be where the majority of them happen. Occasionally, it'll happen on a Tuesday, but not that much. And it usually happens in the earlier morning. So, what is still left to drop potentially before Worldwide Developers Conference? Doesn't mean guaranteed, but just kind of recapping some of them today so that we can stay up to date on what things we could expect as soon as tomorrow morning, making this Twitch stream very, very relevant, and it will age like milk. So, for one, we've got potentially new AirPods, which John said would come with the new MacBook Pro, and it didn't, so I don't know if the MacBook Pro came out early, or the new AirPods are still scheduled for this month, or maybe they got pushed back to next month. I don't know, but it sounds like whatever the new AirPods are going to be, they're going to be minor refresh. They're not going to be a design change or anything major when it comes to the looks, but mainly just probably an updated CPU. If you think they would be crazy to do an updated CPU via website refresh, keep in mind, AirPods Gen 2 introduced the H1 chip, which is the H series of Apple custom-made silicon that had never been introduced before, and they did it via site refresh. So totally within the realm of possibility that they could introduce the H2 chip, which has better talk time or better battery life, or maybe they were able to manufacture it for cheaper, and now AirPods have a lower starting price. I don't know. Something like that. But new AirPods of some kind, as well as Imac refreshes. But keep in mind, these are the boring kinds of Imac refreshes. This is not the interesting kind. This is the kind where they finally just get rid of the old crappy, spinning hard drives in the iMac. Maybe discontinue the 1080p iMac. Though, to be honest with you, I would be fine with them getting rid of the fusion drives and the spinning hard drives. But 1080p on the iMac for some is probably fine. I agree that for the specs, yes, 1080p in 2020, it's very dated. I would not go with a 1080p display. But, I mean, it's a 21.5-inch screen. It's not that big a screen in the first place. And it's just a basic, cheap iMac. Oh, whatever. Who cares? So we got iMac refreshes. We also have the potential. I don't think they will do this via website refresh, but it's possible. John said it's in stock and ready to ship at any time. The updated Apple TV, which will be rocking 64 gig standard, A12X chip, and a slightly design tweaked Apple TV remote. To me, that sounds like something they would launch at Worldwide Developers Conference when they're talking about tvOS, like under their breath. They're like, so with all these new tvOS features, here's a new Apple TV. Anyway, moving on. And it would just be kind of forgotten about and laid off on the side. But technically, we're hearing they're ready to ship, so that could mean they drop it via site refresh if they wanted to. I will not be getting that, by the way. That sounds really boring and stupid. So I will not be getting a A12X Apple TV, but I just have no idea what people are doing on their TVs that's going to take advantage of that A12X chip. But yes, I'll catch up here. Overachiever, thank you for the 1-bit donation. Expos1, thank you for 17 months of Twitch Prime. Holy crap. From Winnipeg. Matt K1201, thank you for 21 months of Twitch Prime. Holy crap. We reached 21 months? That is insane. My goodness. Okay. And 100 bits from Expos 1. 21 months. I was just thinking, like, holy crap, we're coming up on 2 years. Whew. Hopefully they will launch the new Apple TV sooner rather than later. They can launch it whenever they want. It's their funeral. I don't think this is a good idea. I mean, if they want to make an Apple TV box with a really powerful iPad Pro CPU in it, that's fine. They can do that. But this isn't how the Apple TV should go. When comparing to how all other markets have handled smart TVs, Apple is missing the mark on this one. They're missing the point. They're missing the subject, the purpose of the TV box. We've moved on to dongles years ago. I remember buying and reviewing the Amazon Fire TV stick when I was in the attic. That was like 4 years ago now, and I'm back then even like I was fine with it. I was like, hey, you know what? It runs good, plays good, and now you can get freaking 4K streaming dongles, like not even TV boxes, but like TV sticks for like $50 now. So I'm not saying Apple has to make one for $50. I'm just saying they need to figure out this market and realize, hey, tvOS is great, good software, it's very fluid and everything. That's nice. We're fine with tvOS, but you do not need to ship iPad Pro level performance in something people watch Netflix on. That's 90% of what the Apple TV is used for. More than 90%. It's like 98%. And they tried this. Didn't they learn their lesson last time? I don't know the sales numbers. Maybe the 4K Apple TV sold really, really well or something, but I don't think it was because of the A10X chip. They tried to put an iPad Pro CPU in the Apple TV so that it would be good for gaming, right? They announced that, oh, hey, Minecraft is coming to this. It's going to be a great game console. Even though it's like basically the same price as an Xbox or Nintendo Switch, which actually has titles people want to play. But it wasn't used for that. They had to discontinue Minecraft because no one was using it, and the games on it are, they're just iOS ports that happen to work on a bigger screen now, but most people don't play it. So it seems like they're just going to try what they did last time again. And that's not what they should do. You know how they have the iPhone XR, cheaper version of the flagship iPhone, or they have the budget iPad. So, okay, it doesn't have a laminated display, but you can get an iPad for $250 now because it goes on sale half the time. They still rock around, things like the iPhone SE, basic, but it gets the job done. Whoever's in charge of these cheap, entry-level products need to do something with the Apple TV. I'm talking like $100 would be fine. I think a $99 Apple TV stick or Apple TV dongle that's just pretty much good for broadcasting stuff at 4K, HDR, sure. But, okay, it doesn't run games great. That's fine. It doesn't need to run games great because no one's playing games on these things. Okay, thank you, Pizza Man 1653 for the 95 bits. Michael donated, says, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. I feel productive. I come up with a few video topics over the weekend, and then this morning I got a early start. I didn't sleep well last night, but that's okay. Other than that, I'm good. There you go. Apple TV stick, $99 with an A10 chip. Boom. Sold. Made it great. What? All I do on my Apple TV is play Sasquatch Apple Arcade game. Right. It's going to be, yeah, I get it. It's going to be trying to sell the point of Apple Arcade. But you know what? Here's how they could justify an A12X chip. Well, it doesn't justify it, but here's how you could make the Apple Sheep Drew more okay with it. You know how when we bought new Apple products in November, you could get a full year of Apple TV Plus? It's like, okay, I thought TV Plus was going to flop. I was looking at the shows, and I was like, this is such a limited catalog. No one's going to pay money for this. And then it was like, hey, any new Apple product you buy, mostly any new Apple product, you get a year for free of Apple TV Plus. I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes it decent. That means I at least can watch all this stuff, and I don't have to commit to anything. So if they are trying to sell this Apple TV refresh as an Apple Arcade selling point, well, we had to put the A12X chip to run our flagship games from Apple Arcade, of course. Apple TV refresh should come with, 6 months to a year of Apple Arcade. You guys may think that's crazy, but I think that's the only way they could justify people paying for that thing. Because if you got a bunch of free monthly access to all those Apple Arcade games when you bought the TV, then I'd be like, oh, okay, I kind of see what they're saying. If they try to bundle the Apple TV as an Apple Arcade package, basically. Why do your streams disappear after around 2 months? So that's a Twitch thing. When you're an affiliate, they will keep your past streams for 30 days. If you're a partner, they will keep it for around 3 months. But luckily, we export all of these Twitch streams to the Taylosive Podcast YouTube channel, which they stay forever. So all my old Twitch streams are either available there or in a playlist on the Taylosive Tech channel. So just go to Taylosive Tech, playlists. You'll see all the old archive live streams I have and all these new ones for the past 6 weeks or 2 months or so. We've been just exporting to YouTube after the fact. So if you want to watch these streams after they're live, Taylosive Podcast on YouTube. Please check it out. Let's see. What's wrong with your autocorrect, YOLO? Jeez. That would be great. The Apple TV needs a new processor for the new 4K standard that YouTube and all the big networks are adopting. Also, HDMI 2.1. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I disagree. I don't think the A12X is needed for that kind of stuff. Plus, the 4K, we don't, it was already enough to try to convince. For one, YouTube doesn't even support 4K on the Apple TV, but either way, I've used that 4K Apple TV on a 4K television before. It looks great. It looks overkill. It looks fantastic. It supports the HDR stuff. It supports Dolby Atmos. I don't think that you need to go from A10X to A12X in order to be like, well, it's new 4K, 4K again. We're doing it right this time by just making it inefficient. They're moving in the wrong direction, basically. This is not what TV sticks and TV boxes should be prioritizing. They need to prioritize video, and Apple needs to quit trying to make this thing a console because it's not going to work. We know this because they tried. I used to think it could be a console. I thought tvOS would make a great console competitor, but the users have spoken. The game devs tried to adopt their games. It didn't work. People didn't play it, and it's been neglected. All right, let's see. A few bits from Niam. Do you know if iPadOS 14 will let us edit off the actual SD card instead of importing footage? Because I got my first ever iPad Pro 2020 and Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil, and I remember you telling us you had leakers and sources in your DMs telling you stuff on the download. I don't. I told you, the people have tried to reach out to me. I just say, don't. I don't care. I haven't heard anything about that. It's possible because iPadOS was such a big refresh to the iPad that if they want to up the ante this year, that they would add a bunch of stuff like that. But I haven't heard anything, no. I own the HD Apple TV, bought it certified refurbished. I can't think of anything I need from it other than to play Disney Plus. That's my point. There's this tiny sliver of people that might want to play Apple Arcade games on their Apple TV, and they're building the entire platform based on that tiny percentage of users. Whereas the vast majority of users are just like Scott, who are just like, can it play videos? That's what it comes back to. So we don't need to spend, $200 plus. Also, why are they doubling up the storage options? How many games are you putting on this thing? Let's see. 4K encoding works, but Apple doesn't support the system that YouTube currently uses. I know that. But Google and Apple are all partnering on new 4K encoding standard and want YouTube to switch over. Apple TV will have 4K. I know they don't use the same codec. I'm just saying the Apple TV supports 4K now, and the reason it doesn't isn't because it doesn't have an A12X chip. That wouldn't change. YouTube is still going to break the Apple TV version of YouTube on tvOS regardless. I'm saying 4K limitations come from YouTube, not Apple. The A10X chip is not the problem. The A10X chip can handle it fine. It supports 120 hertz on iPads that are well over 1080p. I would buy the hell out of an Apple TV stick, easy UI to control content, AirPlay, smart home control, room music controller. Exactly. That would be a top seller. If they want to have a higher end, more expensive TV box with iPad Pro CPU, let them have that option. That's fine. You can make an Apple TV Pro, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead. Make your high end model. Just provide the Apple TV for everyone else, for those who don't do that, because that's the majority. Let's see. Will we get a new iMac before WWDC? There's been a leak today talking about a gaming iMac with ARM and an Apple GPU within the next year or so. Don't believe any gaming Mac leaks or rumors. Those are bullcrap. Apple would not make a dedicated Mac just for gaming because the hardware has nothing to do with how good it is at gaming. It has much more to do with the software and the platform it's on. Games make or break hardware. That's why most gaming machines run Windows because that's what gaming software is optimized for. And that's why people buy things like the Nintendo Switch or the Xbox or the PlayStation, because it has the exclusives they care about. So I don't think they're going to just suddenly and miraculously do a complete 180 and say, hey, we partnered and are going to bring a bunch of exclusive games to this gaming Mac. Like, no, they would just bring it to the Mac OS as a whole. And I don't think any major game developers are going to do that because they know a majority of Mac users are not gamers in the first place. So it's not really a ripe market looking for a bunch of gaming revenue. So they get all their gaming revenue from iOS. That's a whole different story, the App Store. And mobile gaming is where Apple makes most of their money off games and stuff. But when it comes to desktop gaming, I think Apple just doesn't see the point. It's already oversaturated and they don't want to get messed around with it. I saw a Snazzy Labs video about how Apple could do a gaming Mac, and I agree it would be nice. It would be interesting if they did something like bought Valve or partnered with Valve on a big project like that. It would be great, but it's not. I don't see it happening. Um, do you ever see Apple making an Apple TV built into the television like Roku TVs? I'm not a fan of boxes or sticks. I'm not either, but Roku is not bad enough for me to continue using my Apple TV. That's why I use a TCL Roku built-in TV because it's just one remote, one cable plugged into the wall. It's great. I love it. We use it every day, and I don't use my Apple TV every day because tvOS is not that helpful. It's cool. It's probably the best TV user interface there is, but if I have to have this giant box hanging off the TV somewhere and I need another power outlet and the remote annoys me, yeah, I don't care for it. I'm just saying, Matthew, just because YouTube is slowly moving over to the new codec is not the sole reason that they would update the CPU in the Apple TV. A12X is for Angry Birds 3 and 8K. That summarizes every thought I feel on the subject. Thoughts on when the rumored 23-inch iMac will drop? Well, that came from Mac who's okay with leaks and stuff. But if there is iMac refresh, it's not going to be that soon. Someone asked about the iMac refresh earlier. There is rumored to be an iMac site refresh in the next couple weeks, but again, it is not going to be a big one. It's probably not even going to change the CPUs. CPU and GPU options will stay the same. It'll just be changes to storage. The outside will look identical. They're not going to change much. It's just going to be, okay, they have some SSDs now instead of Fusion drives and hard drives. Something like that. It really shocks me. Thank you, Overachiever, for the bits. Doesn't seem like something Apple would do. Yeah, it's possible. There's a couple leakers like Quo and Maktakara that are saying they're planning on revamping the iMac line this year with some updated design. Finally, which I've been asking for since forever, but it's probably not happening that quickly. I mean, it's possible they could unveil it at Worldwide Developers Conference, but it wouldn't ship till later in the year. Like, we're talking very soonest, like October, November, December, if things go great. And right now, it doesn't seem like anything's going great, so I would expect it to be way later. Hey, I don't know how to say your name. Fixables, thank you for the 500 bits. Been watching you for years. Keep it up, dude. Finish the stream off with some Apple Glass talk, please. Oh, we don't have to save it to the end. In fact, if you guys like talking about Apple glasses, get hyped for the next episode of the Tailosive Tech podcast, because I think like the first 30 minutes of that podcast, we just talk about glasses. So that should be dropping tomorrow. Again, another reason to check out Tailosive Podcast on YouTube. You can watch it there or listen to it on your podcast platform of choice. But yeah, it's something that's been rumored for so long that I have a hard time believing anybody on the release window for it. Ming-Chi Kuo, who has a very, very reputable track record, he said production would start at the end of 2019. It doesn't sound like that anymore, because now he's saying Fables is how it's said. Oh, okay. Then you should have an A, not an X. Fables. Okay, I'll try to remember that. But thank you for the donation. Production obviously didn't start at the end of 2019, and now John's saying it's coming March/June of next year. Quo has reiterated and said 2022 at the earliest. Everyone on the tech podcast kind of disagreed in their own way, but I'm excited for them. I think this is the next big wave. Like, this is the next big product category. You know, AirTags, Apple hasn't done before, but they're kind of a small niche product. Like, you know, they're helpful and handy, but they're not really there's not a new operating system or a new platform really there. This will be the biggest introductory product since the Apple Watch, like a new platform. And I think it'll be hated a lot at first, because the potential is going to be there, but the first generation is not going to be very good. I promise you that. I think that while AR glasses is in the concept realm right now, it's very easy for us to assume they're going to be groundbreaking, and you can imagine all these things they could do, and then once it comes out, you'll be like, oh, it can't do all the things I thought it could do, but now at least we know what we want in the second gen, in the third gen, in the fourth gen, as the technology gets better with time. But this is a very, very tricky product to get right. I mean, you notice it might be one of the few things Apple actually gets first. I know that there's other augmented reality headsets before, but nothing like this. because Apple, in my opinion, I don't think this will be a developer device. I don't think it'll be just for software engineers and just for people who develop apps for the iOS store. I think this will be aimed at being a consumer product, but the problem is it's going to be so dang expensive and everyone's going to complain about it because they're like, glasses that are that much? I'm not paying for it. But the truth is, they're going to be able to do things no other glasses are going to be able to do for cheaper. So between the LiDAR tracking, the camera tracking, the eye movements, and the holograms, and the fact that Apple's going to want them to be sleek and fresh and clean looking, it's going to be really, really difficult for any other company to catch up because they're going to be dependent on the iPhone. The iPhone's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, which will require custom silicon, which Apple has and no one else does. And I'm sure the glasses will be running custom silicon as well. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough sell, and I don't think Apple's going to release it until they know that they can price it in a way that it'll be decent enough for people to justify it. But I still think even the first generation is going to be really dang expensive because they can look at other expensive luxury brand glasses and say, well, these are $2,000 and these are $5,000. So we thought it was reasonable. You know how they do that trick on stage all the time. Reference monitors cost $40,000, so the Pro Display at $6,000 is actually not that bad. They'll do that whole shtick with the glasses, I'm sure too. But it's going to be hated a lot. I'm just warning you all now. These things are going to get ridiculed and made fun of like crazy, and eventually they will be game changing. But at first, people aren't going to see it. Just like AirPods, just like the Apple Watch, just like the iPhone, just like the iPad. All these launches were met with instant memes, instant criticism. Everyone hated it. Everyone said Apple's dead now. Apple doesn't know what they're doing. And then they went on to change the industry. So this is going to be classic, what's it called? Apple hate from the beginning. Let's see. The Apple Jockey. Thank you for the 300 bits for Apple Glasses. Overachiever donated. Says, it really shocks me that people rather still pay for cable over streaming. Cable prices are too expensive and seem to be way inflated, and many of the reasons you gave in your video on the topic still stand. Oh, yeah. No, I never had cable TV in my life. I always have known people with cable TV, and I'm always so confused by it. They pay so much, and it's so crap. The quality is garbage. It's half commercials, and all the programs you can find on YouTube anyway. But I do not have YouTube TV. No, I don't have a reason for it. I have YouTube Premium. I don't know why you need YouTube TV. They've got enough stuff on regular YouTube. Like, you could never watch all that stuff. You could never run out of stuff to watch. Like if you're, let's see, imagine if they could actively change prescription. Ooh, that would be tough. They will support prescription lenses. Let me be clear on that. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't think I could wear Apple glasses because I have to wear glasses for my eyesight. I'm like, no, they would have to support that. Tim Cook himself wears prescription glasses. There's no way he's going to make a product he can't use. And they know that there's a huge percentage of the population that needs that. So they will absolutely partner with prescription wear companies so that they can make AR glasses work for people that have vision impairments and need to wear them. So there's a lot of things that are very, very new for not just Apple, but for the tech community as a whole that they have to get exactly right. And if we're hearing about a leak that is suggesting a launch is around a year away, it's definitely not set in stone. Let me be clear on that. I don't care who's reporting it. If the launch is not soon, it's not confirmed. If the production hasn't started and they are targeting a window and they don't have a date in mind, and plus it's a brand new product category, so they don't have an announcement or a schedule to stick to. Apple doesn't mind waiting on things, and Apple doesn't mind if they're not the first to something. I don't think they're worried about being the first company to release AR glasses because there's other AR headsets that probably will come out or other smart glasses that you can, techie stuff you can put on your face. They're not worried about being first. So Apple is going to take their precious time on this thing. They're going to take as long as they need to get it right. But once it comes out, I think it'll be amazing. It'll be well over $1,000 though. I promise you that. If you're not willing to spend over $1,000 on AR glasses, don't get excited for them because they're not going to be that cheap. Trust me, they will not be that cheap. AMC is. What is Overachiever saying? AMC is on YouTube TV? Okay. You can... Eventually all that stuff comes to Netflix anyway. There are 5 weeks till WWDC, so we could still get some stuff this week. Seems early. Well, we got the new MacBook on May 4th, which a lot of people weren't expecting. But yeah, there's reportedly still, to recap from earlier in the stream, iMac storage refresh, new AirPods of some kind, very small, CPU refresh, and new Apple TV. That's all the possibilities that could come out before Dub Dub. $1,000 would be a bargain for what they offer. I agree. Yes, it would be a bargain if they were 1,000, but you should not expect them to be 1,000 because any type of headwear that does anything remotely similar to what AR glasses would do from Apple is not anywhere near $1,000. The closest thing to Apple's AR glasses I've seen on the market is Microsoft HoloLens, and that thing's like $3,000. And these things are supposed to be thin and narrow and light and everything. Why would they cost more than 1,000 though? I understand the R&D, but all the hardware is in the phone. All the glasses will have a few sensors and a fat battery. That's not that simple. It's not that simple. I mean, try to find any pair of glasses that can do AR projection and track in real time their surroundings and have a decent battery life. I mean, there's Google Glass. By the way, Google Glass, when it was available, by the way, it was not available to consumers. It was only for developers. You had to be approved to buy Google Glass, $1,800. And that was a tiny 2-hour battery, and it had no LiDAR tracking, no camera tracking of any kind. It was just a visual on top of your vision. It was just like a widget on top of what you were looking at. $1,800 for that stuff. So now we're talking LiDAR sensors, camera sensors that are analyzing your surroundings, trying to mask objects out from away from you. And we're trying to make them slick and clean and have a decent battery life because they're a wearable. They have to look good. Apple's not going to release something like HoloLens, giant helmet thing you wear. Like, these things have to check so many boxes that doesn't exist in a current day product. And the closest thing to it is $3,000, and it's not aesthetically pleasing. So no, the technology of putting holograms on top of your vision is not cheap. Apple didn't miraculously find a way to make that affordable. There's no way they're going to charge $1,000 for a Pro stand and $1,000 for game-changing tech. I think $2,000 is reasonable to assume. It could be more. It could be more. Why do people call you an Apple sheep if you have a lot of Apple? If you have a lot of Apple products, what about if you have a lot of Microsoft products? They should call you a Microsoft sheep then? Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. It's just a internet name that comes around, goes around. I don't think the hologram will be that insane in their first product, though. Right, but I'm saying the closest thing, Google Glass doesn't even come close to doing what Apple glasses would do, and that was near $2,000. Apple's not known for being the cheap option. Before the Apple Watch came out, everyone was saying smartwatches, they're okay, but they have to be pretty cheap. I remember everyone saying the Apple Watch should be around $200, and if it's more than $200, it's a flop. No one should spend more than $200 on a smartwatch, because that's what most of the smartwatches that were around before the Apple Watch were going for. Then the Apple Watch came out, started at $350 for the small one, and well over $400 for the bigger ones. And everyone was like, no way. This is twice as much as we are willing to pay. Because what we described to you in the concept right now, everyone's like, it shouldn't be more than 1,000. But Apple knows the worth of something better than we do because they understand markets way before they actually happen. So because there's not really a market for an accessory or a product like this, they get to deem what it's worth. If nothing else on the market does what Apple glasses do, they can make them $3,000. And you can't really argue it's overpriced. You could argue that the features don't really offer $3,000 worth of value, but you can't say overpriced because there's not something cheaper that does the same thing. So either way, I'm just saying do not expect them to be under $1,000. This technology is incredibly advanced, incredibly difficult to mainstream and manufacture and make decent looking. It'll be pricey. And that's why a lot of people will be mad about it. Promise you. Let's see. I'm waiting for July for the back-to-school Apple deal to go, but I'm buying 2020 iPad Pro and a Magic Keyboard with free Beats headphones, selling the headphones and buying a HomePod. So many people did that, yeah. I remember people doing that back in the summers when I was growing up. They would buy something, get the Beats, and then sell the Beats. So there'd be this huge influx of Beats headphone sales on Facebook and eBay, and everyone was trying to sell it right away. Let's see. Yes, first gen Apple products are always more expensive than people think. We never overestimate the price of a first gen Apple product. Everyone, yeah, exactly. Apple Watch was more than we thought. iPad was more than we thought. iPhone was more than we thought. HomePod, they're always more expensive. Has iPadOS been glitchy for you? I have had quite a few bugs for the past few days. For example, my battery widget occasionally says 85 when it's at 100. No, actually, iPadOS has worked great for me. macOS is what's been really buggy on my end. Something that really sucked happened recently. The SD card slot on my iMac Pro doesn't work anymore. I think it's physically broken. I don't think it's a software thing because I've updated the Mac, I've restarted it, and I've been doing it the same way for years. I always just put the SD card in the SD card slot when I want to import audio, and now it just doesn't see it. It doesn't register at all. The SD card still works. I can plug it into other stuff and it'll read it, but just not the iMac Pro. Um, I've tried cleaning it out. I've tried blowing on it and stuff. I've tried that, but it's not. It won't pick it up. I think some type of clip or something in the inside of the slot doesn't work anymore. So it's okay because it gets me ready for my MacBook Pro, which won't have an SD card slot anyway. Um, so it's not the end of the world, but it's another one of those things. It's like, hey, come on, it sucks. Let's see. Maybe our Macs being cheaper won't result in Macs being cheaper for the consumer, and instead Macs will be more worth it. One of the reasons people didn't buy the 12-inch MacBook was because they thought it wasn't worth it for the performance it came with. An ARM MacBook would have been more than enough performance for the same $1,200 price. Apple could also focus on other things because they don't have to pay as much for the CPUs. They could still charge the same price but include more features. Yusuf, that's exactly my thought on the ARM Mac. I know we've talked about it a lot on these Twitch streams, a whole lot, but don't think that the switch to ARM Macs is going to result in sub $1,000 MacBooks. I don't think that's the point. That's not what they're going for. If you're spending under $1,000 on a computer, Apple wants you to get an iPad. That seems to be the consistent selling point they've been running with the iPads for a while now. When it comes to the Macs, I think they're okay with that being over $1,000. My guess is $1,000 starting price, but much like the Apple Watch, it'll cost a lot more when you add on your modifications, including prescription. So most people will end up spending way over $1,200. I think that's wishful thinking. I think you're being way too optimistic. My guess is $2,000 because again, try to find a single product today that does something even remotely similar to what the AR glasses could do. It's not anywhere near a grand. Trust me, it's there's no way they can get sensors, batteries, and stuff like that. Even if it's just most of it's being handled by the iPhone, even then, it's like the displays in the batteries and getting battery life to work well. That's the tricky part. It's not so much wirelessly, because if you're wirelessly rendering holograms and images and motion tracking off of your iPhone back to the glasses, if you're doing all that via Bluetooth or whatever, that takes a lot of energy. So to get batteries in these small light things that sit on your face light enough and efficient enough, it's not easy. I would expect it to be $2,000. Do you think there will be an Apple event for WWDC this year, or will it just be some videos posted? They said when they announced Worldwide Developers Conference would be online, they still said there'd be a keynote. So there will still be, more than likely, a live on-stage presentation. There just won't be any people there. Maybe they will add in audience sound effects for some reason, but no, there will be a keynote from what they said. Apple Watch, Apple Pencil, iPad Air Pro Mini are my favorite Apple products. I love iPadOS, and WatchOS seems great. I wish you could pair an Apple Watch with an iPad. I know there's not a huge reason to, but I still think it would be nice. Oh yeah, no, it'll definitely be pre-recorded, but it will not be. It'll still be broadcasted. Is my point. It will be a live event. Like you won't be able to. Apple's not going to just drop WWDC as a YouTube video that you can scrub through. Like you won't be able to just skip to the end. It'll still be a broadcast that's like the live stream starts at 10 a.m. June 22nd, and then you'll tune into it and you'll have to watch it in real time. Not in real time, but it'll all have been recorded. It's probably been recorded already, and they just have it sitting on some Mac Pro somewhere. So yeah, you won't be able to scrub ahead of the event. I wish you could access the Watch app or Activity app on the iPad. See, that would make me more comfortable with going with an iPad mini and ditching my iPhone. Yeah, it's kind of like a YouTube Premiere, exactly. I like Apple but disagree on some things like the resolution on some of their products. Well, those products aren't for you. If you don't like the resolution of that device, it's not targeted at people like you. 3 bits from Overachiever. Crazy to think that AMC is at the point of filing for bankruptcy due to COVID-19, and Universal Studios, starting with Trolls World Tour, is planning on going forward to release their movies on streaming and in the movies simultaneously, and AMC said no, they're not releasing any Universal movies going forward. We got another Spider-Man, Disney, Sony situation with movies. It's all around a bad situation for the movie industry. It's a bad situation for pretty much everyone. I can't think of anyone. Well, okay, toilet paper companies, hand sanitizer companies. They're probably really happy. They might be doing great. Other than that, yeah, pretty much everyone's not doing great from COVID. There's not a win-win from this. Will tomorrow's tech video be a YouTube premiere? No, I hate those things. I did them for a while and they get annoying too fast. I hate that YouTube, when you watch a YouTube premiere, it doesn't register as you've seen this video. So it still shows up in your recommend in your subscription. It says, hey, watch this. And I'm like, I did. I watched the premiere. And they're like, no, you haven't watched it yet. Do you use HomeKit products? If you do, if so, do you see Apple making a bigger step to get into home products, maybe buy Sonos and gain access to home audio? I don't see the point in them buying Sonos when they have the HomePod. That's like just their competition at that point, and I don't think Sonos would want to be bought out anyway. But I do have smart bulbs, and I do use HomePods and stuff like that, but not a crazy ton of smart home appliances. Mostly just security cameras and lights and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Apple, Google, and Amazon announced they're partnering on a single standard for smart home stuff. So they want to get to the point where just any light bulb, any smart lock or anything is just compatible with all of the smart home accessories out there. So eventually their goal is that in a few years, all smart home accessories will be universally compatible with HomeKit, Google Home, and Amazon Home. All this stuff will just work together. So they already announced they're working on that, so I don't think they need to make their own hardware. They could. It'd be cool if they made their own smart home stuff, but I don't think they need to buy Sonos. Let's see. Fables donated some bits. What's the best form of sending you money? I don't care about the rewards, PayPal donations, something on here, or bits. You don't need to send me money. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Probably PayPal donations are probably the way to donate without much being removed from Twitch or YouTube or something like that. So I guess PayPal, but don't worry about it. Keep your money. What is your opinion on Apple, Google, and Amazon partnering on One Home Standard? It was announced like 6 months ago. Well, I'm sure they're working on it, but yeah, we just talked about that. What would you do with the iMac Pro if you get a MacBook Pro? It'll be used as my live streaming station. So I'm using a Mac Mini right now to do this live stream. And if I get a MacBook Pro, I have no intention on keeping my Mac Mini. I don't need 3 Macs. So I will just sell the Mac Mini to help offset the cost of the MacBook Pro. And then the iMac Pro, I can still edit on occasionally if I want to. My idea is just to get a slightly better performing Mac that I can also take with me, because the MacBook Pro seems to be getting a lot of good attention. I loved using the 16-inch MacBook Pro back when I tested it. The display was great, performance was great, and that was the base model. So I'm excited to see the next iteration or the next CPU upgrade. And I love the specs in it. I love the price of it. I think the price is really fair and competitive. So I'm just buying it because having a editing machine that I can take with me will be kind of handy on occasion. And the iMac Pro I still have around, but now I'll just have 2 really, really powerful Macs instead of a really powerful Mac and an okay Mac that's pretty much just good at live streaming. So I'll still have the iMac Pro around. Do you think if the iPhone 12 Pro doesn't support 8K recording or have a 4K screen, it would be better to buy an older iPhone? No. You do not want a 4K screen on a phone. That's stupid. You would not notice the difference. It would hammer your battery. We tried 4K screens on phones before. No one noticed the difference and people didn't like it. They didn't sell very well. And 8K recording is also very gimmicky because there's very little things you can notice 8K on. So no, I don't expect this year's iPhone to have 8K video. The point of getting the 12 Pro will be the new design, the new form factors, the faster CPU. Probably LiDAR will allow for some more photo and video options like better portrait mode, bokeh masking, and that kind of thing. So there's a bunch of benefits of the 12 Pro does not need 8K or 4K. 4K screens do not need to happen on phones, iPads, or even laptops, in my opinion. I don't think it's necessary on a laptop because I use 1440p and 4K and 5K displays at my desks, and I can tell you confidently there's barely a difference. You have to get really, really close to those screens to notice a difference. And so, like, that screen's 1440p, that one's 4K, that one's 5K, and when you're sitting at your desk just using them, you do not notice a pixelation difference. It's very slight. If you get real close to it, maybe you can be like, oh yeah, that one's got more pixels. But it's on a laptop, which is smaller than all these screens, no, it's ridiculous. So let alone a phone, no reason. Fables is donating too much money. Thank you for the 100 bits. Now you're literally the only reason why I have Twitch downloaded, and you're 3 of the 5 podcasts I follow on Apple Podcast app, so I feel inclined to show my appreciation. I just want you to have content you enjoy. That's my goal. I don't need more money. As long as I can pay the bills, which so far, if you guys just watch the streams, watch the videos, that's enough. That's all I need. Let's see. It's not that people didn't like the screen. It's more that it drained the battery more. My point is people didn't notice the difference. We went from having resolutions above 1080p to going back below. That's my point. We went from the most popular smartphones, pixels per inch has gone down. It went up and it went up, and they were like, okay, 1080p, yeah, that's good. Okay, higher than 1080p, yeah, that's good. And now phones that are below 1080p are selling better, and they have worse resolutions than previous generations. What does that say about the market? That they don't care. That's my point. The best selling phone doesn't have a 1080p display. And it's not because sheeple, you buy anything with an Apple product on it, it's because they don't notice. They didn't care. They went from best-selling iPhone used to be things like the 6 and 6 Plus, and then 7 and 7 Plus. More 7 Pluses were sold than the 7, actually. So that's when it was like, okay, 1080p, really popular. Now it's back to 828p. More people are buying that because they don't care. So we've hit our limit with what users notice when it comes to pixel density. Also, Samsung phones. They used to ship with 1440p out of the box. Now they started scaling it down to 1080p because no one noticed. And they could preserve battery life that way. So that's why 4K on a phone won't be a thing. JFK79, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate that. Let's see. I know Apple won't switch to AMD since they want to use their own chips, but man, it would be good if they did. There are $600 Windows laptops with Ryzen 5s that beat out Intel Core i7s. Apple is selling the base model MacBook Air with dual-core i3. Well, if they use AMD, it would have been a 6-core Ryzen 5. Oh my God. You techie people in your AMD and Intel debates. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to use AMD because Apple's ARM CPUs are where they're headed. So making a big transition to AMD right before they make the ARM switch doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I think that the ARM CPUs Apple develops for their Macs will outperform AMD CPUs. And the difference is you won't be able to get those ARM CPUs on any other machine. So they're going to use the ARM technology to make Macs better, and they will be very, very hard to beat with competition. So they're in contracts with Intel right now. They kind of have to use Intel. They can't really just swap in any CPU brand they want. But I'm pretty sure they're fine with just having Intel hold them over until the ARM stuff comes out. Let's see. Resolution doesn't matter if you have the highest quality pixels. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a physical thing. The human eye can't tell the difference after a certain amount. Is there new information about AirPods 3? Should I wait or just get the AirPods 2? I would say wait if you can. It sounds like there's going to be some type of Gen 3 AirPods in the next couple weeks. We know very little about them, though. It sounds like they might just be CPU upgrades, better battery life, or maybe a cheaper starting price, something like that. But at least wait till Dub at the very latest. If they don't have any new AirPods until Dub, then sure, buy Gen 2 AirPods. But let's see. 20 bits from, what's his name? Corvain? 8K phones is the way to go. Yeah. Screw 4K on a phone. We need to go straight to 8K. Super noticeable difference. Many Dinosaur says, do you have a stream schedule or do you just go live when you have a free hour? It varies a lot because there's a lot of things going on in my life, and I try to synchronize my schedule with my wife's best I can. But my general schedule, it's very loose, but my general schedule is to try to do a Twitch stream every other day. But I won't do it on Fridays or Saturdays because those are my weekends right now. So, like, I'm doing one today on a Sunday. I won't do a tech stream tomorrow, but I will do one the next day. I won't do one a day after that. So it's like, if you get a Twitch stream today, there won't be one the next day, but probably the day after. That's the general schedule I'm following. Let's see. Yeah, Apple probably gets really good prices from Intel as well. That's true. Let's see. ARM will be even faster than AMD laptop chips. I agree. The question is, when you're buying an ARM Mac, will you be able to choose which processor you want, or will it come standard with the same processor for every model like the iPad? And then the only thing you can customize, the RAM and storage. Yeah, I think it'll probably be like the iPad. I imagine the CPUs and GPUs will be not very customizable. They may have certain things that they let you configure. It will be kind of weird, though. Like, maybe on the 16-inch ARM MacBook Pro, you'll have an optional afterburner card, sort of like what they have with the Mac Pro. So they're like, okay, with this machine, you get a whatever they call it, A15X, and then the 13-inch MacBook Pro just gets an A13 or whatever, 15, whatever it's called. Maybe they'll differentiate the performance a little bit, but no, I don't think it'll be that modular. Did you hear John leak that Apple will eventually want iPhones to truly wireless charge, kind of like charging by Wi-Fi? He said it would take a couple of years. I heard something about that, but it doesn't shock me. I mean, are people surprised by that? Is that news? We've been hearing this for 3 years now. I remember back in 2017, everyone being like, oh yeah, this new company, this Samsung patent, or Apple's working on technology that would allow you to charge without even the inductive charger, and you could just walk into a room or just put it near this little base area and it could charge from that. And I'm like, that all sounds great. It's not very possible right now. The technology is way, way further away than we think it is, because there were companies claiming that they were just a year or two away from that tech 3 years ago. And here we are, and we're barely anywhere closer than we were that long ago. The truth is, it's possible, but it's not feasible because of the amount of power you need to charge smartphones and stuff like that. To send that power over the air is not easy. It's not simple. And I'm sure that's not just Apple's goal. I'm sure tons of companies want to get to that eventually, but the reason none of them have is because that tech is difficult. So I don't know why people keep saying charge over Wi-Fi. I mean, that if that tech existed, it would not be considered Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is for data and telecommunications between devices. You can't just flip a switch on a router and be like, well, it charges power now. Instead of sending data, let's now send electricity. That's that's not correct. So no, if there was a way to charge things over the air, I don't think we would call that Wi-Fi. That's a very, very different type of technology. You can do it. You can technically do it now. It's just not very safe. So finding a way to charge a device across the room safely, we're not anywhere close to that tech. I've seen it demoed in a few small configurations, but very, very, very little amounts of power. Not high amounts of energy at all. Nowhere near enough to charge a phone. I didn't listen to his podcast, but I'm just saying, I don't know why people are referring to that as over Wi-Fi. Just say wireless, because Wi-Fi is for data, not power. There's not a chip in the Wi-Fi modems in our devices are not capable of charging the battery. It doesn't work like that. So I'm confused why people refer to it as over Wi-Fi. Fables donated 50 bits. How stressful is it doing what you do for a living? You have so many channels and are on the ball whenever news drops. Keep it up, dude. Thank you. You don't have to ask me to keep it up. I enjoy doing this. It's fine. It's not that stressful, to be honest. I really enjoy it. I think it's fun. If I had all the money in the world, if I had trillions of dollars, I would be doing exactly the same stuff I'm doing right now. So it's not a question of money to me. It's just I want to be able to keep doing what I'm doing. I think, honestly, YouTube is as hard as you make it. There's a lot of channels or people on Twitter I've seen that say, like, hey, running a channel is hard and being a YouTuber is really difficult. All these things you have to manage. I'm like, it's not that hard. Guys, come on. No one ever asked you to be a YouTuber. You chose to be one. You put yourself out there enough times or well enough to the point that you got to do it full time. Like, it's not, maybe, yeah, the process of becoming a full-time YouTube channel is very difficult. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying once you're there, once you're full-time, and once you're managing a channel, it's really not that. It's a dream job. Like, honestly, it's incredible. The fact that you don't have a boss and you can talk about things and get paid for them, it's crazy. I have no clue why this can even be a job. Like, how do we as a society value my ramblings and my rants and my speculation on random products? We have a society have decided that that is valuable to the point that there's enough people watching it, and we will put commercials on those videos and reimburse the guy for attracting that much attention. Like, I still can't wrap my brain around how that works. It's still bizarre to me that YouTube or advertisers in general or anybody would be like, yeah, we need to offer money to this man. He's ranting about the iPad Mini 8.9 inch. How do we reward him for that? it's insane. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's insane that this is a job. Thanks to you guys, it is a job, and I never want to take any of it for granted. I that's why I don't do sponsorships on my videos, and I want to try to be very, very smart with my money and not blow it all on things, because I don't want to assume that being reimbursed for this is something that's just always going to be there. I take it as a full gift, a blessing, and I'm very, very fortunate that a company is willing to pay me for this kind of crap. And the fact that there's people out there like you guys that watch my ramblings is bizarre to me. So yeah, I'm very shocked that this can be a livelihood. It's not that hard, honestly. If you make it hard, it can be. If you force yourself to certain standards, or I can only upload certain videos, or I can only upload when I do this, and if my audience behaves this way, then I have to respond in this way. Like, you can make it hard, but it doesn't have to be. If you scale it and grow it in a way that it's simple and easy and fun, then yeah, it can be the greatest job in the world. But yeah, not easy to get to that point. I agree. It took me almost a decade to get to the point where I could live off of YouTube. From the day I started doing YouTube to the day I quit my job to do this full time. If you were super rich, would you try to get involved with Apple, maybe a shareholder or something similar? You don't need to be rich to be an Apple shareholder, but no, I would pretty much just put all the money into Taylosive. I'd probably, have more people or writers or editors, because I'm not crazy about the editing experience. But it's not something that I hate enough to pay someone else to do at this point, because I can save a lot of money by doing it myself. So I'm fine with just doing it myself at this point. Let's see. Apple patents things. What are people doing? A new patent filing by Apple indicates the company is investigating charging over cellular and Wi-Fi frequencies. It's not that simple. And also, if it's a patent, it has, in my opinion, it has a lesser chance of becoming real, because 80%, 90% of Apple's patents never result in actual products. But they research and work on all kinds of projects. It doesn't mean it's coming out anytime soon. Once you get 100K, it's the best job. No, you don't have to hit 100K. I was doing full-time with under 20K, I think. When did I quit? I think my last day was May. Oh, it is May right now. I'm trying to think. I might be hitting my 3-year mark. Let me check. I know, because I made a post about it a long time ago. Like, my last day at the Mandarin Ranch, which is where I worked before YouTube. Let me find that post here real quick. That was May 23rd. Okay, May 23rd, 2017. So we're almost on the 3-year anniversary. We're coming up on that, and I have a list here of all of my So May 23rd, I had 24,000 subscribers on the tech channel. Okay, so more than 20, but you don't need 100K to do it full time. It's totally possible with less. Would you employ Nick and Randy? I think that'd be fun to have three perspectives that all play off of one another. Well, I would love to, but it's not really in my budget, and I don't really have anything that they can do for me full time. So, plus they both have jobs that are paying very good salaries. So I would have to match that or surpass that somehow, and it's not in my budget currently. But I'm not eager to like that's. I'm not in a rush to get there because I can't think of something for them to do if I did employ them full time because currently I don't have a way to like send footage to people to edit and stuff like that. So I would need a big change in my internet situation before I could even think about hiring people that edit my videos. But yeah, I would do stuff like that if I had billions of dollars, sure. But in its current state, no. Let's see. Do you buy every Apple product? Mm-mm. Haven't looked at a Pro Display XDR. Haven't seen a Mac Pro. Never bought the trash can Mac Pro. Didn't buy the new 13-inch MacBook Pro. I only buy some of them. I do not buy everything. Overachiever donated. Jerry Rig Everything is an awesome channel. I thought it was so funny to see him revive a gold Apple Watch that was at the bottom of the lake for 9 months. He showed exactly how he did it and fixed it. Yeah, that guy is smart. He knows how to take apart things and fix them. He's cool. I like a lot of his videos. Let's see. Depends on how much YouTube actually pays you, though. Seems like you have a pretty good CPM. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's possible. It's not that you have to have 100K to be full time. That's not true. But yeah, my CPMs are. I don't know. I don't really look at other people's CPMs. I think they're okay. I think I'm overpaid personally. So I won't complain. I wasn't really able to tell much of a difference between the 16-inch MacBook Pro keyboard and the Butterfly one. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a side-by-side comparison. Well, I could tell the difference. They're kind of more chonk. They go down a bit more. They have a different sound to them. It's not a massive difference, but it's a noticeable one, in my opinion. If you can put a 4K on a Chromebook, the trash of the laptop world, they can do one on a MacBook. Yeah, but just because they do 4K on a Chromebook doesn't mean it's a good idea. Yes, they could do 4K on a MacBook, but would it help anything? No, it would just ruin your battery life, make your GPU work harder. And would people notice a difference between what the display is now and a 4K panel? I don't think so. Maybe if you squinched your eyes and put them real, real close to the screen, but no, I honestly don't think many people would notice a difference. Oh, Jake Halliburrow, you donated $1. Whatever the message was, I'm sorry, I don't have PayPal donations on the screen right now, but here it is. I got the email for it. Why doesn't the email give me the message? You can repeat the message in here if you want. I'll read it here, but thank you for the dono. Some people's channels have well over 100K, and channels with 10K get more money due to views and time watched. Yeah, that's the point. Like at the end of the day, your what's it called? Your subscriber count has very little to do with how much money you make. It honestly doesn't change your CPM. It doesn't change how much Google deems you're worth. It doesn't change how much they pay you. They just see views and watch time. That's pretty much how everything is dictated by. No, I haven't seen anyone describe the Retina MacBook displays as kind of bad. I've never seen that before. The only complaint I've seen for MacBook displays is the bezels are too thick, which I agree with. But I've never seen anyone say that the displays are pixelated. I've never, ever seen that complaint, ever. From my experience, the MacBook display seems fine. That's everyone's experience. No one has complained about that. Subs are pretty irrelevant, honestly. It's true. I'm not exactly sure why communities and channels put so much worth in them, because there are channels I've seen with 5 times as many subscribers as I have, but with half the views and watch time, so it doesn't really result in anything. It's kind of a stupid name, to be honest, because subscriber used to mean like you're paying monthly for something, but then YouTube changed the term subscriber into what we usually refer to as follower. It's following someone on Twitter and subscribing to someone on YouTube are basically the same thing. Like subscribing on Twitch is a, transaction. I get money for people subscribing, but not not YouTube. I don't know exactly why they call it subscribe. Even Linus said you don't need 4K on a laptop. Hey, if me and Linus can agree on something, it must be pretty universally agreed upon. Let's see. Why is there no GPU on the 13-inch? Too small. It's very, very light, very, very thin form factor. It's tough to stuff a GPU in there. But I hope they do someday. Well, maybe they'll switch to ARM before they even need a dedicated GPU. Do you get more money from YouTube Prime viewers? Yes, you can check out a video I did on Taylosive Talks. If you're curious about YouTube and income, I did a whole video breaking it down over there on YouTube, so check it out there. Do you think Apple Glass would be illegal to wear at the wheel of a car? I'm not sure if it has the same law of any electronic device in your hand. We talk a lot about this on the Tech Podcast, so stay tuned for that. But I think the glasses would have a way of detecting when you're driving because they have LiDAR and they have cameras, and your phone knows when you're in the car moving. So they'll probably be able to detect when they shouldn't be displaying that much stuff. But we're coming up on the hour mark. But if you want to keep watching Twitch, if you're hanging out on the platform, I've got some time on my hands today. I'm going to do a Taylosive Gaming live stream, actually. So we can talk about whatever over there, but I'll be playing some Minecraft. I just got to hop over to that station real quick. So stay tuned. But in case you didn't know, check out Taylosive Gaming. It's in the app you're already watching this on. So I'm going to wrap up this stream. But I'll be live on Taylosive Gaming in just a couple minutes. So I'll see you guys over there shortly. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.